Hey everybody, today I'm going to answer a question about a film-only technique called slit scan photography. Hey David, what is slit scan photography? I saw something about it and I've never heard of it. I'd never heard of this until a few years ago either. It's something that you don't see that much of because its use is kind of obsolete. So basically, here's the technical thing behind it. Slit scan photography basically moves the film across the camera, typically in reverse. The easiest way to do it is to rewind the film after advancing it all the way through the camera without taking any pictures. The film's moving through the camera, the lens is open the whole time, and instead of having a shutter box, a big rectangle cut in where the shutter is, there's a slit. A thin slit, a very thin slit, like a couple sheets of paper thick, maybe a little bit thicker at most, but the thicker the slit, the blurrier the image is going to be. So what's happening is the lens is focusing the image onto this slit, and the film's moving behind it and picking up the image that's coming through this very narrow slit. What on earth is this even good for? Well, have you ever seen the Star Trek The Next Generation opening where they take the Enterprise and it gets stretched out really long and then boom, it goes into warp speed? That was done with slit scan videography. It was a really hard shot to get, and if you've never seen it, and if you see it now, I hope you have a new respect for how difficult that shot was from a technical perspective. At racing events, slit scan cameras, purpose-built slit scan cameras, used to be set up at the ends of horse race tracks, bicycle races, cars, whatever. And what would happen as the pack of racers would come in and cross the finish line, they'd start up the slit scan camera and it would run the film past the slit, and the background would just look like it's blurry because it's all this one section of background that's being stretched out over the whole length of the film. But as the racing, whatever was doing the racing, crossed the line, they'd be moving at the same speed as the film in the opposite direction, and so they wouldn't look distorted. They would cross paths with the film. Now, that allowed people to go back and look and say, hey, now we know who won the race, because we couldn't tell when it was happening because it was too fast, but the slit scan camera got it. What it's good for now, it's good for creative uses. It's some really interesting creative portraiture. You can move the camera around like this at the same speed that the film's moving and get a full 180-degree portrait of a person on a long stretch of film. That can be a pretty interesting thing. You can move the person. If you move them in a circle as the slit scan camera is going down, you'll see a twisting and a distortion of the person as they go down the frame. You could do part of the frame normal and then part of the frame in slit scan. Or you could do the whole frame in slit scan, but if you're only moving the subject for part of it, then only part of them is going to be blurred as the frame is moving. So now it's not so much a technical issue. We have much better cameras that can figure out who actually won the race. Slit scan has amazing creative opportunities now. So I have a video coming up at some point showing how to convert a standard camera into a slit scan camera, and I'll share some slit scan images that I take with it when that happens. It's a lot of fun. You can turn any camera into a slit scan camera as long as you don't have a focal plane shutter. That's a good way to ruin a focal plane shutter. Pinhole cameras, range finders, great candidates for that. Anything with a leaf shutter, great candidate. So yeah, it's neat. It's worth trying. It's a lot of fun. And you never know, there could be some really great creative benefits to your own work from trying something like slit scan photography.